Here we go. All right, now we'll go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. We have Super Bowl 55. Tampa Bay took it 31-9 over Kansas City, and it was a dud. It did not live up to the hype. What were your initial thoughts of the game?
I hated it. I hated the whole game from start to finish. Once I seen that flag thrown against Chris Jones, I knew the game was over. It was disgusting. I mean, the first half, you pretty much knew the game was over. It really was no need to even come out in the second half. They could have just brought out the second and third strings because they didn't do much. I don't even think – did they go scoreless in the second half? They were scoreless in the second half. So, I mean –
3 points. I think they had 3 in the second. It was bad.
Did they?
Yeah, I think they had a 3-point field because I think it was 21-6 at half, and I think they got 3 more at the – but it was bad. Nonetheless, I mean, 3 points in the second half of a Super Bowl. Not it.
Terrible.
But yeah, hopping in here to get into it, the injuries on the O-line absolutely crushed them. It was
sucked.
It was there was a stat that Pat Mahomes ran for 497 yards prior to throwing passes. 5 football fields just to throw a pass. And like that's an insane stat that I saw. But yeah, you had so many incredible throws though. Like it's funny when you look at his stats, a lot of people on the internet trolls, of course, basically saying he folded, he sucked, like he couldn't live Tom Brady's better than him, blah blah blah. But if you watch that, how did you like that parallel throw? The ground that he's the one that he's literally parallel to the ground.
It's amazing. Only he can make that throw. No other man can make that throw on the planet.
30 yards downfield and hit a dude in the face.
In triple coverage. In triple coverage.
And you had the double spin throw, the one that went to the back of the end, like the corner of the end zone, almost was caught.
And that would have been a touchdown had Antoine Winfield didn't hold Byron Pringle, which they didn't call that though.
They were calling all sorts of ticky-tack ones, and they didn't miss that one. Even like the Kelsey drop, that one he was off balance throwing the ball. The Tyreek Hill one, he bought time to get Tyreek Hill open, that he dropped a touchdown. I loved watching Pat Mahomes play in that Super Bowl. That was the best performance I've ever seen out of a 9-point game.
That's the same thing I was saying to myself. I was like, I came away with it. I came away thinking Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. That's what I came away thinking after watching that game. I was like, I don't care what nobody says. There's no man on planet Earth can do what he did, running back 30 yards and just throwing it up, and it's just perfect every time. I was just like, nobody's messing with him. It's impossible. It's impossible.
As I said, the trolls will point out like a couple of miscues early on in the game, blah blah blah. Like nobody ever has a bad throw here or there. Like the ones that he was making were insane, and they just kept getting dropped. I wonder what the tally. I didn't tally it up. How many drops there were in that game, especially after those crazy throws.
A lot. I know that.
Speaking of which, the wide receivers failed him big time. I had that written down here. And I know that you talked about it as well. Tyreek Hill, I'm sure you're going to go on a rant there, but the one where that interception was his fault. But go ahead, give us your thoughts.
I told you that. This is the thing.
Yeah, you did point it out. You pointed it out.
During the game, I didn't want to say it while the game was on because it was just entirely too early. But once I seen him drop that pass and Travis Kelce dropped the pass, something told me the game is over. They lost right there. The man gets out of the pocket, throws you a perfect ball, and it goes through your hands and hits your helmet. You have to make that catch. That's a catch you have to make. And if you're what everybody in the league says you are, and just Tyreek Hill's this, or he's the best, no, he's not. Because if you're the best, you make that catch. Julio makes that catch. Terry makes that catch. Keenan Allen will make that catch. You have to make those kind of catches in games like that. And on top of that, you choked. Your quarterback, what made me so mad, your quarterback does everything for you. The least you can do is show up for him one time and make a play. They score that touchdown. Travis Kelce catch that pass. we probably talking about a whole nother different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
A whole nother different ball game. I cannot stand TYREEK Hill. I don't want to hear anything else about TYREEK Hill ever again. He's a top 10 receiver, top 15. He's not top 5 because he can't run an entire route tree. If you take away his explosive ability when going deep, he can't run necessary routes to get himself open. And he's a body catcher at that. He catches with his body. He does not catch with his hands. And then, lastly, on that interception, I told y'all, he didn't even jump. If he just jumps towards the ball, he catches it, and he just get tackled. But he showed he did not care anymore. And I don't see how people can label that the number one receiver or label that the best receiver in the league. And he showed no effort. He didn't care. You could take it away.
Yeah, that especially that one, it's almost like that double coverage because they were doubling him throughout. Like they basically took away the deep. They just said, we're putting a safety over top of you all game long, and you're not getting the deep pass. And I feel like this just took him out of the game mentally, which is not nice to say. Like, that's horrible as a top-tier receiver. You can't be mentally taken out of the game like that. I don't care what they're doing to you. You have to be in it the entire way, especially in the Super Bowl. This isn't, week 9, you're 8-1. Like, it doesn't really matter tonight. Like, whatever. They're just stopping you, blah, blah, blah. We'll come back next week. This is the last game of the year, and just mentally, you did not show up for this one. His stats ended up being, like, okay. By the end of it, like 7 catches, 70 yards or something like that.
Garbage time.
Yeah, 100%. I think in the first half, he had, like, 2 catches, 13 yards.
And that's what I count. That's all he had to do. Because every other catch he made after that was garbage time yards.
Right.
I was
they were already down
it's too
big.
late now. Yeah, it's over.
For sure. And, I mean, even Travis Kelce, who, again, another guy that ended with a monster day, 10 catches, 133 yards.
He tried to overcome, and he didn't give up.
Right.
Despite his mistakes. So I can respect Travis Kelce for that. And I can actually sit here and say that that's the best tight end in the league because he still tried.
Right.
And showed heart.
For sure. And let's see, and the last thing I'll complain for Kansas City is we touched on it already, but the refs were not kind, to put it mildly, to the Chiefs the entire night. I'm not one to subscribe to the rigging theory, but I don't care if you're blind, you could tell that there was a bias towards the Bucs for whatever reason. Whatever reason.
Tom Brady.
There was 8 penalties, 95 yards that were accepted in the first half. But there was also a defensive holding on that touchdown. I think there was another call earlier that was also declined. There was over 100 yards of penalties called in the first half against the Chiefs. Meanwhile, there was 1 penalty for 5 yards against the Bucs. The whole first half.
I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs had missed opportunities. I think that pick by Tyrann Mathieu will have turned the game around completely. But that's not a holding call. That's away from the ball.
I called it a phantom holding call. It was bad.
That was away from the ball. I'm like, why are you calling that?
And a tipped pass.
I mean, that just changed the game completely.
For sure.
Completely.
Yeah, Spoiled says he went through the Super Bowl film and said Bucs were holding a lot. Yeah, I don't know why they were calling phantom ones, but then weren't calling anything the other way. But thank you guys for joining. Just touch you right here. Lonte Evans is here. Madison's here. Says, what's up? Dominic, what's up, guys? All right. So Lonte says Bucs had a perfect game plan on defense to stop this team, but at the same time, having a solid O-line made it impossible to win. Like, not having a solid O-line, for sure. And you did touch on it, and I'm going to get into it now. We've already talked about the negatives that Kansas City did to lose the game, but I don't want to take away from the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won that game. Like, they were the more complete team and the better team that day. I don't know if you want to touch on the defense or offense first, but either way, both of them were good. So what can you say positive about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The refs cheated for him?
The refs cheated for him, and, I mean, the defense did what they were supposed to do. How would that defense have looked if the Kansas City Chiefs players just make the play? Like, how would they have looked then? But, I mean, it looks a certain way now because it's like they didn't make the plays, but if they made those plays, it's like the defense possibly really didn't play that well. But I would say the Bucks offense, I mean, it's hard to say what good they did. But, I mean, Leonard Fournette ran the ball well. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. Running over Bashar, breathing like he was just a toy.
16 carries, 89 yards, a touchdown, plus 4 catches on 4 targets with 46 yards. Great day.
Ronald Jones was balling. Antonio Brown and Gronk. Chris Godwin is trash. He played horrible.
He had 2 catches for 13 yards.
He can't catch at all. But Gronk showed up. Shout out to Gronk. His old butt showed up.
6 catches, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yep.
Tom did what he's supposed to do. Leonard Fournette probably play his way into a big contract for another team. Him and Ronald Jones. So I'll say that about him.
Fair enough. You mentioned the offense, and it's crazy because that's the 3 players that showed up the biggest for Tampa Bay are the 3 players that Tom Brady brought in. Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown. Obviously, Gronk bringing out retirement, and the other 2 had character concerns. Nobody really wanted them because of their character off-the-field issues. They brought in, and then there's the ones that freaking killed it for them. So, good for them. But, I mean, I cannot go much longer without mentioning Devin White's name. What an absolute monster he is in the middle of that Tampa Bay defense. Devin White is a phenom. He is all over the place. All over the place. Levante David definitely had a good game, too. Him and White combined to shut down Travis Kelce in the middle of that field. Like, Travis Kelce was blanketed all day, especially in the first half. Later, they softened up the defense to prevent the deep pass. So, as I said, Travis Kelce ended up having a good day. But in that first half, I think he only had, 20 yards or 30 yards or something? Like, he was not going, if that, honestly. If that. And then also, that defensive line for them was incredible. Yes, they were going against a soft offensive line. But they did what they were supposed to do against a soft offensive line. They did not cower in the moment. There was times where literally JPP, Vita Vea, and Dominican Sue, and Shaq Barrett, I think it happened at least 3 times, where they all beat their man at the line. Pat Mahomes is immediately running for his life from 4 dudes, because they all 4 beat their dudes at the line. He was completely under duress. But I don't know if I mentioned this to Chris before the show. I don't know if anybody else knows this. JPP apparently is 8-0 in the playoffs. So maybe a secret weapon here. You have to have JPP, the fingerless wonder, to get to the Super Bowl and win. You reading some comments?
Yeah, I just one comment that I actually did want to get to in particular.
Go ahead, go for it.
The Orlando Brown. The thing about the Orlando Brown is you don't want to trade for him because he's looking for a contract. And that's another player that you would have to actually pay. So us trading for Orlando Brown would be a bad idea because once you trade for him, you also have to pay him. Because he's 25 years old. He's one of the top 5 linemen in the league. So most likely he's going to demand at least $80 million. So that's why you don't trade for Orlando Brown. You can rather just basically go ahead and just draft your own left tackle and have him on a rookie deal for like $35 million. So Orlando Brown, no sir.
Yeah, I think the destination for him that makes a lot of sense would be the Jets. They have the cap space to go over there. If they get their young quarterback, they can maybe trade their later round pick, later first round pick rather, to take Orlando Brown. I don't know what the trade value would be, but
that trade value is high. You get in the first rounder for him.
That's what I said. I'm talking about the late first rounder. I'm not talking about a late round pick. I'm sorry, a late first rounder. Because they have 2 first rounders, and if they possibly could get a third one in the Sam Darnold trade if somebody gets desperate. But they could potentially have 3 first round picks in this round, and maybe one of those can go to him at the left tackle. And then they already have what's his name, Mekhi Becton on the left tackle now. He could move to right tackle, and they could have a great tackle duo for whatever young quarterback they bring in. Or if they trade for Deshaun. We'll get into that later. But yeah, let's go ahead and just see any of your comments about the Super Bowl. Yeah, Lonnie says Bucks had the perfect plan on defense. Excuse me. Andy Reid messed up by moving his O-line all over the place, not keeping them in the right positions. Interesting take. I don't know. I didn't pay attention too much to that. I haven't gone back and looked at. I'm not going to, but like watch it closely. But I'm not sure if you mean like literally he was having them switch position, or like I guess maybe there was too much side to side movement. I don't know. Like I guess the shifts in the line were a bit too crazy. I'm not sure how you mean by that, but no matter how you slice it, the offensive line played horribly. So I'm sure there's a combination of just lack of talent going against a fantastic talent, and Andy Reid and Bieniemy not making the right adjustments throughout the game. Apparently, Spoiled wants to talk Jared Cook off the team.
Let me tell you something, boy. Jared Cook is the last thing anybody want to talk about because he is trash and he old as dirt. Get him out of here. I cannot stand Jared Cook. 37 years old, pure trash.
He's your Thomas Davis that we had this year.
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't putting them in their true position. Okay, so I guess there was. I mean, they lost both their left tackle or both their tackles. I think a guard also got injured somewhat recently, and then one guard opted out prior to the season. So you can't really blame that too much because you won all those games without him. But still, it goes into the formula to get destroyed in the trenches when you don't have your left guard that before the season, you don't have your right guard to injury, you don't have both your tackles the week of the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Cook is a washed. Sprinkle is better.
That's a fact, man. That's the sad part. I'd rather have Sprinkle. At least I know he can block.
He sucked. All he had to do was not fumble. That's true. He did fumble. All right. So that was the Super Bowl. Congrats to Tampa Bay. They deserved it. I think so anyway. They really showed up. Kansas City didn't deserve it because they didn't show up. Yes, the refs hurt, but at the same time, they didn't do enough to win the game either. We could complain about the refs much more if this is a 31-28 game instead of a 31-9 game.